Hello, hello.
Hello,
Yo, what's up,
you
dude?
hear me?
I hear you.
What's up? All good, all good.
So you're looking to get some coaching. You're looking to up that game in StarCraft.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
I'm
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Tried this up 20 times and doesn't
yeah.
work.
So I started
I give up.
in last summer,
Let's try this. Keep up the good
and
work, kid.
this is
Smile.
actually the first RTS I take seriously.
Okay. Um, what what's your situation right now? What league are you in, and what are we looking at specifically today? That like, what's your like your preferred matchup or something? It is more or less. Yeah,
Um,
just give me like a rough estimate of like where you're at and what you want.
yeah. Okay. So there is a bit of lagging, by the way. Uh,
I can change the server again here. One sec.
yeah.
Uh, Okay, so it just updated now. We're on a European server. I tried US East. Does it sound better?
All right. Yeah. Okay. So you hear me now?
I can I,
Actually.
I can hear you.
Okay. So I was saying I am plat three
Okay.
now. And I oscillate between plat 3 and gold 1,
Okay.
depending on the day. And I've been basically trying to use your bronze to gem brooch build.
Yep.
And yeah, and I feel like I I get most of the games I got smashed completely, especially when they arrest me. I feel like the only game I win are the games where they let me like kind of micro in peace, and then I win in the mid game because I simply have way more shit than they have.
Sure.
Basically, I move all the time. Like I can't do any micro sorts.
Okay. So what we can look at today then I guess is if you want to keep perfecting that build, we can keep focusing on that build and we can look at situations where it's not necessarily about how to micro a lot, but we can look at things like where if you get harassed, how to manage the situation as best as possible with like with what you're supposed to be doing. Basically, just making sure we're focusing on priorities correctly. Um,
Yeah.
I guess just to start it off, we can if you have a replay ready, log into the.
Yeah.
Are you on the European server or are you on the North American server right now?
In the moment, I'm in the European
Okay,
server.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll come over to Europe. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, and then just since I don't play here anymore really, so it won't be easy to be like, oh, just find me in GM. I'll just give you my details. I just put it on stream as well. It's vibe hashtag 1578, and then you can just add me
Yeah.
and invite me that way, I guess.
All right. Okay. So I'm starting. I have the game now. So I was thinking I have some replays ready. Um, I was thinking about ZVP, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's all good. My biggest recommendation is whatever you want to focus on. I would say probably for this coaching lesson as a whole, just stick to the one matchup. So ZVP is totally fine. I think it just makes it easier for you to absorb information that we talk about if it's not bouncing between all three matchups or just multiple
Yeah,
matchups.
yeah. That's that. I totally understand. Like, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So now since I'm a bit of a newbie, how can I actually add you
Okay.
in?
No worries. All you do is when you're online, in bottom right, click
Yeah,
the little people icon, and then it's next to like your menu basically. Then you'll
yeah.
see an add friend button. Once you're there, it'll ask for an email or a battle tag. Just go to Discord and you can copy paste what I linked in there, the number, and then it should give me an invite.
Okay, yeah. Uh,
Also, yo, A1 Vegeta, thank you very
all
much for
right.
the 5.
Sorry, I'm a bit
I
slow.
appreciate you, dude.
Sorry, guys.
You're all good, dude. Take your time. Take your time.
uh, okay. So you put it on the Twitch, right? No, in Discord,
Yeah, in
right?
Discord. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Copy. All right. So yeah, the thing is, I think like the matchup is just something that we keep it simple to focus on, because for me, what I lack probably are the fundamentals.
Sure.
So, what I think it's a good way to start is to go through the fundamentals and pretend that I'm completely ignorant.
Yeah, for sure.
So we touch base on stuff, you know.
Yeah, we'll definitely work from the ground up, from basic stuff and forward. I don't have a request from you if you added me. I don't see it.
So I need to go to find and then search name tag, right?
Yeah, it's like the right on the bottom right chat window. There's your friends list thing, and you just add friend and add the battle tag in the thing, and then it should pop up if you do it. It should pop up with a request for me to confirm it.
Yeah.
And if it's not working, you can also just when you click the friends list, in the top of it, the very top of the window, you can see your tag, and you could also give me that, and I could add you as well if it doesn't work the other way.
Friends list. It's add friend, right?
Yeah.
And now send request.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Palm Bay Mafia.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Yo. Okay, so now all you want to do is you want to click replays, and then in your replay list, click on the one you want, and make sure on the bottom you hit watch with others.
Yeah.
And then invite me to the game basically once you make it, just by right clicking my name and inviting me.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll search for the replay. Okay. Watch with others.
Yep.
All right. Add player. ViBE invite.
All right, and then don't start it. Now right click my name and then make me lobby host.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Got
Okay.
it.
Now I can control the time. Now we're in, dude. Now it's official. We're gonna.
Yeah. Let's go.
We're gonna do this. All right. So,
I don't remember if I lose or win this game, but it doesn't matter. I think I won it. I win it, but you know it's full of mistakes anyway.
sure, it's perfect. Yeah. Winning and losing is not the biggest thing for sure. It's
yeah, exactly. Like
the overall game. So, starting off, like obviously I'll just say this just to make sure we're clear about everything, because I really want to make sure you're on board with me in every step of the way. I really like that the first thing you did was you prioritized making a drone first. I saw that was the first thing you did. That is huge. Your larva needs to be maximized all the time. So it's great. You did have a bit of a downtime on your overlord, though. I would say a technique to learn as quick as you can. Every game should always be it's like a 3-step process, and right now you should only be working on 2 steps. Number 1 is click on your hatchery as fast as you can, and then hit SD on your keyboard. That is the fastest thing you should do, and you did that pretty quick. Then immediately right after that, you should be grabbing your overlord with your mouse. Just like green box it, and then send it out. Like, it doesn't have to be directly exactly where you want it to go. Just send it out towards, like, you could even click the middle of the map. It doesn't matter. Just send it out quickly. And then if you have any time to spare, this probably won't start happening to you until you're maybe in like high diamond or masters. If you have any time to spare after that, before your initial drones have met the mineral line, you could then grab some of your drones and send them to like far patches to do like a drone split. But that is the process of order, or the order process that you should be doing always. And if you are between bronze to plat, or even in Diamond League, I would say you should only be working on 2 out of those 3, which is overlord move quickly, drone go quickly. Drone takes priority, because it does matter with the overlord too, just because of the fact that getting to his natural as fast as you can and seeing if he expanded is always a very important thing, and you need to know that quickly, because it tells you if you need to be preparing for an all-in or not, and every second that gets wasted is one more second that you don't know if you're gonna get all-in. Like, it's kind of scary. So if we look at it, so if we look at it right now, you made your drone at 1 second into the game. That's totally fine. That's great. But then the overlord started moving at 5 seconds. So your overlord could move at 1 second, maybe 2 seconds at the latest, if you practice this and get fast at it. So it's not the worst, but yeah, it's definitely something that you should focus on for sure.
It's great. It's like these things, you know, like you need. It's good that you point me out these things because I don't realize where the mistake is, right?
Sure.
Or where the inefficiency is.
And
So
I have another one for you right now. This is something I think you should totally do. When you're just when you're playing the game, I think you should get in the habit of just muscle memory, forcing yourself to you pay attention to your supply at the beginning of the game to be like, okay, I need to save for an overlord. And as soon as you make an overlord, that's fine. You make your overlord, but then just tell yourself, even when you don't even need to do it, just hit your hatchery hotkey, which is 4. Go 4 SD, 4 SD, 4 SD, and just do it once every second. You don't have to do this all game. Just do it in the opening stages when nothing's really happening, because you will get distracted by things like what you scout, if something runs past your overlord, if something attacks you like a reaper or an adept or whatever. Just get in the process going 4 SD, 4 SD, 4 SD, 4 SD, because I will say it is actually better to, if you actually forget an overlord, it is still better to supply block by making 2 mini drones than the opposite of just not spinning your larva because you're not paying attention to it. And you're like, oh yeah, I gotta make drones, and you make all 3 at once, and you've been larva capped for like 8 seconds.
Yeah. So you think larva cap is actually worse than supply cap?
Yes. Because you can fix, if you get supply blocked and you only have 1 larva sitting there, you can then make that larva into an overlord, and you will not larva cap in the time it takes for the overlord to finish building, and then you can use the larva again. But if you
I see.
Yeah, if you larva cap, it's just so much time missing on using your stuff, and larva capping is massive because you'll never get that time back. You can't just generate larva to make up for it. Because injects is its own thing as well. So if you miss time on injects too, that's another thing you'll never get back. So it is massive on how much it slows you down. And if you notice at this point right here, watch, I'll show you when it happens. It's right after you make the overlord.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now basically.
Yep. And then you don't spend your larva until you have like 140 minerals or something.
Yeah, now, yes, I saw it. So, yeah, got it.
Yeah, just get in the habit of just 4 SD. Just, it's important. Super important.
Yeah.
And then when you're not doing anything as well, if you're kind of chilling and not much is going on, I would say take a moment as well to just look at your mineral line and get used to like what patches are close patches, and try your best to put 2 drones on every single close patch whenever nothing else is going on. And right now you actually have 1 on or you had 1 on a close patch for up until just now, and you had 2 on
on the right.
Exactly.
On the top right, right?
Yep. And if you don't know which patch is close and which patch is far, if you click on the minerals themselves, a close patch will always have more. So a close patch starts at 1800 and a far patch starts at 900.
I see.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So if you stack the close patches, that is going to increase your income, which is going to just increase the timings of which everything can build like by a little bit faster. So it helps a bit at getting your build going quicker.
And so the close patch, the goal is to have only 2 drones, like at least 2 drones.
Yeah,
always.
two drones per patch is perfect.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll see how you're built. Do you like gasless or do you like going? Oh, you're on gas. Okay, that's fine.
So I tried gasless as well, but I think it's too much for me because my scouting sucks balls. Dude.
Sure.
Like,
it's totally fine.
Yeah.
And
I try. It's fun sometimes when it works, but it's very risky for me. I have to cut many corners.
Yeah. And also I remember you did say you're doing the bronze gem build, which actually your gas timing was perfect for that. So far in terms of bronze GM, the only thing I can say that's negative is the mineral stacking could be a little bit more efficient, and also the drone usage, or the larva usage, could be more efficient. Otherwise, you're fine. I like that you're scouting that he has a natural. That's huge. That tells you you're safe to drone now for a while.
Yeah.
You made 4 lings. I'll say this. I'm gonna pause this really fast and say that against Terran, the way you made these lings, I think is fine.
It's for the Reaper, right?
Yeah, exactly. But against Protoss, if you want to, I do think you could delay these a little bit longer, because you can't make anything that's gonna harass you out of just a gateway. The only thing you can make out of a gateway before having a core is just a zealot. And the only way you're ever really going to get harassed by a zealot is if he proxy gates you. And if he proxy gates you, you would know that right now with your overlord being here, being like, he has nothing, and he like his base is empty. And then your overlord goes further into his main, and he still has nothing there. And you're like, okay, yeah, proxy gates must be in the game somewhere. But you can tell, like, you clearly can see that he has a natural, he has a wall. So there's no proxy. So skipping Lings altogether would actually be okay if you really wanted to do that.
Yeah, I will try actually, because I realized it as well at some point, and was like, I'm basically wasting 2 larvas for 2 drones.
Yeah.
Which means in this build is 2 drones before you put down a roach warren.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, basically, like it'll just speed up everything if you don't make Lings.
Yeah.
However, I'll say this is what I'll say. This is I feel like the best way to analyze this that'll make a lot of sense. If you scout with your overlord at his natural that he is chrono boosting a gateway, and his core is done, I am okay with you making these Lings like you did. So chrono boost is a big thing here. If he, however, is not chrono boosting his gateway, I think you should skip the Lings, and then you could still make them. But you should then instead of making them right away when the pool's done and when you start your queens, you should instead make them when you're maybe at like 34 supply. 33, 34 supply, so you just get more drones faster.
A new queen has emerged.
Yeah, I see. Because basically, if he's chrono boosting now, I'm watching like the gateways. He produced an adept.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the adept could be potentially a source of harassment for me.
Yeah, and like most Protoss will make an adept. It's either going to be an adept or a stalker. But I would say if he doesn't chrono boost it, you can easily get away with more drones because you'll have more time to make Lings in the time it would take him to then get across the map to your base. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right, and then okay, I'm gonna go back to your build. I'm gonna look at it a little bit more closely. I was looking at your scouting a bit there. Your scouting, I think your scouting is okay. You went through, you saw both pylon placements, and you left his base. But the only thing I don't like is that I want the Overlord. I would love it if the Overlord kind of like went back to the cliff, maybe where the gates are, because that's, you can see what he's producing. But if you don't do that, if you don't do that, you don't have to do that. I would love it if you actually had a Ling run up there as well, maybe just to like see what he has at the door. Like periodically check. You don't have to necessarily lose the Ling, but you can just like look at the wall and be like, okay, he's got 2 adepts. He's got adept and sentry. He's got an adept and a stalker, or something like that. Just so you get like a little bit of an idea what you're working with. It gives you more of like a, in time, like when you get more and more comfortable with these kinds of scenarios, it'll just make you feel more confident that, like, you know, you have an idea of what you might be up against a little bit more if you see what he has.
Yeah, so you poke it, and by poking it, you will see which kind of units are massing at the wall.
Exactly.
Basically.
And the biggest thing for you is, I think looking at someone's wall and going, okay, he's got adept sentry, or he's got adept sentry stalker. I don't think you should worry about what is there in terms of like, okay, what composition is he going for? That's a little bit more advanced. But what I think you should look at is how much stuff is there. Is there just 1 unit? Is there 5 units? Is there 2 units? And it should give you a sense of confidence or a sense of like worry where you're like, okay, he's actually massing right now. He's chronoing his gateways nonstop, and there's like 5 units already, and I only have 4 Zerglings. Like maybe I need to make roaches a little bit faster, like maybe when the roach warren's done so I don't get screwed here. Or if he's got only 1 unit and you're like, okay, well, we're still safe to drone, I'm not really worried about that, then you're fine. It's just, yeah, paying attention to how much is there is a big deal. And then with your build, in the time that you were scouting, looking at your injects, they look fine so far. Your first inject basically was on time. It was good. Your larva, your overlord usage is great. Your larva usage so far, again, is honestly not bad. Except for right now. I think you're actually building your roach warren and your evo chamber too early.
Oh, I see.
What you want to aim for is you want to, your very first inject, when it pops off, you want to spend all your money making all that larva into drones, and then once you have no larva sitting there, then you throw in the roach warren and the evo chamber. And the reason why is because if you look at your hatcheries, both of them right now have 3 larvae because an inject popped off. And you took the expense of the roach horn and the evo chamber, which means, number one, your larva capped again right now. So you're not actually generating anything. And secondly, you can't actually spend it all anyways. So even though you're getting a faster roach warren, it's going to delay having a large number of roaches longer because now you have an inefficient economy. So again, just perfect time to make the roach warren is after the first inject pops off. You then spend all that larva into drones and then make the roach warren.
I see.
So
I see.
larva cost is always priority.
Yeah, this is something that I didn't get,
Yeah.
to be honest, because I was like watching the build orders of the in internet of bronze to GM, and I was like, 37 roach warden, okay. When I'm 37, I put it down. Like I was not
Exactly,
aware
yeah.
about. Yeah.
That's why it's really I like to try to like analyze, like when I do my build orders, if you do like Zerg BO, Terran BO, and like for my stream and stuff, I try to justify things like that sometimes because I know it can get kind of misinterpreted for sure. But definitely larva is always your primary number one priority.
Yeah. Yeah. Also here I delayed to put the drone on gas. Actually.
Yeah.
I'm watching it now. Yeah.
And then you have
now
a lot of larva again, chilling.
Yes. Yes.
So the goal is this should always be your goal. This is probably the easiest way to explain it. It is maximizing your larva. Every second you have one, it should just immediately be used into making either an overlord or a drone, whatever you need. And you want to make this your priority up until you have what is it? 42 drones. And the reason why 42 drones is the big number here is because the 42 drones is going to give you perfect saturation on 2 mineral lines. It's going to give you perfect saturation on 3 out of 4 gases. And you're going to have 1 drone to spare to take your 3rd base with. So
yeah,
42 drones is, you want to just get to that number as fast as you can. And then while you're there, the only time you want to make the roach warren and the evo chamber is when you have no larva to use, which is again, it's after your first inject has been spent.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you make the buildings, and then you only prioritize the upgrades out of those buildings, like +1 and roach speed, and also the layer when again you have no larva sitting there. So if your gas if your gas were to go to like 112, and you're like, shit, I couldn't do it at 100, I had to do it at 112. A way you should justify that in your brain should not be, the second I have 100 gas, I needed a layer immediately because otherwise my build's falling behind. It should instead be, I could have actually made my layer at 100 gas if I optimized my mineral line a little bit more efficiently. So that's really where it comes down to. Like, we're talking about things like saturating the close patch faster or splitting your drones in the beginning of the game. Those are things that will speed up your minerals a little bit, which will make the build flow perfectly. But if the build falls behind a little bit here and there on your gas, where it's like, okay, I have a little bit too much gas, and I have larva that I need to spend. I'm doing that first. Again, the mineral saturation, the proper mineral saturation could be part of that, or it could be you just took your gas a little too fast. But with this game, you took your gas just fine. It was like 50% of the pool's completion, which is perfect, because it doesn't rip off your mineral line then, and yeah. But otherwise, yeah, never undersaturate your mineral line ever for any reason up until the breaking point when you're like, okay, now I can make roaches. And then from here, once you actually would have your optimal saturation of mineral line, which right now you're finally there, you can make your roaches, and you could then also throw down your 3rd, which you're doing now, which is you have the right idea. Once you start your roaches, you start your 3rd. And now we're looking at like your injects there. Your injects are starting to fall behind a little bit. Not the worst so far, but the injects are starting to be a little neglected. But the biggest thing is hit U on the keyboard, and you can see the units tab, and you can just see your larva. And right now you're at 8 again. And every time this has happened, this is like the 3rd time this has happened in this game. Every time this happens, you're just not generating larva, and it's reducing units you could be having every time.
Yeah. So basically, one of the biggest problems I'm seeing right now is actually my larva cap. Okay, as well as the resource.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I see.
It just comes down to not paying attention. Like the key word here that I want you to take away from this so far is redundancy. I want you to literally hit the buttons on the keyboard that you hit periodically. I want you to just hit them all the time. Like you don't have to hit like have 500 APM, but if you just go like once every second, 4 SD, 4 SD, 4 SD, 4 make overlord, 4 SD, 4 SD, and then you're like, okay, drone count is where I want it to be. And then you go 4 SR for roach, and you go 4 SR, 4 SR, and you keep doing this repeatedly. You will actually develop a habit for yourself where you don't even have to think about doing it anymore. Your muscle memory of your hands will just do it, which is exactly why. Or go ahead, you talk.
So if I get this correctly, so the good moment is to actually put down buildings in this specific case when you know that your larvae are not capped. So basically, when you know that you're not wasting larva time, basically.
Yeah,
larva generation.
it's basically if you have now successfully spent your larva down to 0 larva, then incorporate other additions to your build like the roach warren. So like 6 larvae pop off the hatcheries when your first 2 injects pop off, and let's just say at that exact same moment, just before the inject popped off, 1 larva generated out of both hatcheries. So now, right as that inject pops off, you have 8 larvae sitting there. You would want to then spend all 8 larvae first, even if you only like 8 larvae would cost you 400 minerals to spend that, but let's just say you only have 290 at that moment. You would literally wait until you could actually spend all 8 larvae, and then you'd make the roach warren, which would only take you maybe like 6 seconds.
Yeah. You know what I feel like also here? I feel like that in most of the games, when I put down the roach warren and the evos, I'm distracted by doing it already. You know?
Sure.
And this is because I'm like, I put it here, I do a wall or do an off wall off and so on, and this is already distracting me, I feel like. So I think I really should, have this muscle memory of spending the larva more.
Yeah.
I would, because then I do it without thinking about it, and I can use my brain power to actually think about where to put the roach warren and the evos and so on.
Yeah, I would say against Terran and Zerg, walling off is like meticulously being like, okay, I want to make this wall nice and not like look like crap. That's good against Zerg and Terran, but against Protoss, literally build it wherever the hell you want. It doesn't have to be together. It could be like one's in your main, one's in your natural, whatever. Anywhere really, as long as it's not in the front of your base, like as your wall. So like you wall against Terran and Zerg, you do not wall against Protoss.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
But yeah, just if you just focus on the larva thing, if you notice like your supply right now in this game is 67 to 62, you're gonna notice these massive supply swings in your favor if your larva is more utilized properly. Like you'll be like, wow, I'm like right now I'm not gonna say you'd be like this, but you will eventually start having games where you will have like 100 or like 80 supply leads even though nothing's happened.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense, because I would imagine in early stages of the game, these are like a kind of a snowball effects, right?
Yeah.
Like one here and will speed up things way more later on, I think.
Yeah. And check this out, okay? I'm gonna give you a micro technique here. That's because what I'm seeing you're doing right there is watch. I'm gonna re-explain this as it starts, and I'm gonna go through what you're doing, and I'm gonna try to sum up how it would be much easier to deal with. So Adepts come into your base. What's up?
This is for me is already panic mode, I can tell you.
Yeah, like, yeah. Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you some stuff, and maybe hopefully it'll be like, wow, that sounds so much easier. But watching this, you're like, okay, fuck. Adepts are coming into my base. All right, okay. Before you grab the roaches, actually, you did grab the roaches first. Okay, so but you delayed it a lot. You grab the roaches. I probably were looking at the adepts for a little while, being like, oh god, oh god, oh god. Okay, grab roaches.
Yeah.
And then now roaches are coming, and drones are trying to maneuver around these adepts, being like, oh shit, okay. Run away, don't die. And your roaches are chilling because you're microing the drones. And you're like, fuck, the roaches aren't doing anything. And now he's phasing again. What do I want to do? Like it gets overwhelming, and now you have a couple roaches attacking, and the other roaches are chilling because you're still trying to manage the drones. And now you have a bunch of drones not mining, and now you're looking at the natural. And now you have roaches going into the natural, and it's kind of an annoying position to attack from. Like, it sounds really frustrating. It sounds super annoying. And now he's back in the main. Now, instead of doing what just happened, check this out, okay? This would be very easy. This is the perfect way to micro against this. And this is what you should do every time to start. You can get better at this and get more just like your pacing can develop faster once you get really comfortable with this. But just for beginners, okay? There is like a couple of steps you got to do to make this really easy. And here they are, okay? Adepts are, you can see them because you have Overlord, you have Creep. You see that they're there. You know he's there. All you got to do is look at your roaches and go, okay, I have 10 roaches. Tell all 10 roaches to attack his adepts where they are right now. And then quickly, quickly right after. So you just tell all roaches, go attack his ass. And then just use your mouse and do a green box and try your best to grab half. Okay, so we're looking for like right around 5. If you get 6, if you get 4, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try your best to get half your roaches. Okay? And just a move towards where the shade is going. And now, as soon as that happens, all I want you to do is I want you to make a judgment call of, while this is happening, there's nothing you can do. You have to wait now for like 4 seconds for it to develop. While you're waiting, select your hatcheries and make something. Either if you think, okay, this is too much, make roaches. If you think, okay, this is just a little bit of harass, it's a little annoying, but I'm fine, make drones. If you think that you need more drones in this particular situation. So it's literally, and that's it. And then as soon as he commits to where he's going to go, if you have successfully done this correctly, don't even worry about moving your drones. You're fine. However, if you somehow fuck it up and you're like, oh, okay, well, he's in my base now, and now he's actually near my drones. This is not good. This sucks. What you can do then is you can do a shift command. Run away from where the adepts are to the opposite end of your base. Like, you know, wherever, like an example would be, I'll let him get a little closer. Notice how you grab your drones, okay? And you send them to the right now. That's fine. That is totally fine. But what you're doing, though, is you're putting all your attention on the drones now. And you've told your roaches to move to where the adepts were a second ago, but now all your attention is focused on the drones. So now you're microing the drones, and the roaches end up not helping at all. So a perfect way to do this is you can run opposite where he is for this moment, but look at where you clicked on the top right of your base. That's perfect. Hold shift and right click your mineral line right now with your drones, and then forget about them. Like, don't even micro them anymore. Because what your drones are going to do is they're going to now buy you like 5 seconds of like run away and then run back to the mineral line, and they're not going to just all die. And it's gonna now your attention should be on your roaches doing the exact same thing you just did a second ago. He decided to phase in, so all roaches move the adepts, and if he phases again, grab half wherever you can in your base, wherever it looks like the best place to grab them, and have them chase the shade. If you do it the shade chasing correctly, you don't need to micro your drones at all, because your roaches will catch the adepts every time. They'll be on them and they'll catch them simultaneously. But if you don't catch them properly, then you can fall back and do this thing we just said with the shift click of your drones, where you run away, shift click, run back, and then remine the mineral line. So not only are you not missing out on mining of your mineral line at all, because your drones they'll not just sit there idle like they did here in a moment, but they also don't die because your roaches are a little out of position.
Yes, I see your point. So basically the goal is if they're not close enough to attack your drones, you split your army, like in this case roaches, and you chase with half of it you chase the adepts, and with the other one you chase the shades.
Yes, and okay.
And then if they get too close, then you take your drones, you shift click somewhere on the main, like on the opposite side, and then back to the minerals.
And keep in mind, I don't even want you to move your drones at all, even if he shades into your mineral line, but you have roaches there to catch him.
Right.
So you don't have to run your drones ever if your roaches are like, hey, oh, welcome to the roach party, and they just kill him anyways. So you're good to go anyways. Because if he's like at that point, like roaches do kill adepts pretty fast. Especially if you have like 5, 6, 7, 8 roaches, you're going to be like 2-shotting adepts at that point. So if he has like 4 adepts getting into your mineral line, and really what you're doing is you're catching him, and in the moment where you know, okay, there's a battle going on, there's nothing I can do about it, the units are going to play the battle out themselves, you'd be better off doing something like Sorry. You'd be better off just doing something like making drones while your roaches are killing his adepts that are killing your drones. You're just making drones while that's happening. You're spinning your larva. You're still mining minerals with your drones as well. And you're maximizing everything as much as you can. Suddenly, he loses like 8 adepts. And now his mineral count is at like 1,500 because he's trying to do some micro shit against you. And you just set up a simple defense with the right idea, and you just macroed while it's happening. And suddenly you're like, well, I lost 7 drones to his 8 adepts, but I just made 15 drones while it all happened. So I'm still positive overall in the worker count, and my resource expenditures have been maximized, whereas he's at 1,500 resources and he hasn't made a unit for the last 45 seconds. Like that'll happen to you all the time if you just, you know, you follow a couple simple steps that are important, and then you just macro behind it.
Yeah, this is something that I was watching you explaining it during your Bronze to GM many times, I remember. But it's something that it's really like something that you need to force yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you won't do it. You know, like it's something that I need to start really forcing myself to do that.
You know how to do that? You know, the exact technique that we talked about earlier that will make that happen for you? It's muscle memory of just forcing yourself to do it even though you don't need to do it, which is 4SD,
Yeah,
4SD,
4SD, yeah.
4SR. Like, if you just do that, if you do it even though you're like, well, I'm only at 20 minerals, I can't make a drone right now, you can wait and go, you know what, I'm not going to do anything until I have 50 minerals. Or you can just go 4SD, and then suddenly you could be like, someone could be like, hey, what do you want for dinner tonight? And you're like looking at someone else talking to them, and you're like not missing your drone because you're just muscle memory hitting it anyways. That's exactly how I talk to my chat, by the way, and I play StarCraft. Like, it's muscle memory is huge, man. It's huge.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that.
That's big, man.
I'm gonna let you know my next dinner how it goes. Oh man.
Because yeah, you can. If you look at the larva right now, you have 12.
Yeah,
or 13.
Yeah,
now?
it's capped.
Yeah, and you're
13. Yeah.
Because you are generating larva out of your third, but yeah, you finally spent it, but it was a while for sure. It was basically when the adepts died, essentially.
Yeah.
But look at this. Look at this though. In terms of resources lost, even though you just lost 12 drones, you're still ahead. This is kind of what I was talking about, where it's like his adepts were more expensive to lose than it was for you to lose your drones because you went roaches, and you are killing them, and he's totally ignoring your roaches. He's not trying to kill your roaches. He's just trying to disrupt your economy. And if you just do this thing where you have to just admit to yourself that you're like, okay, well, I know I can't save every drone, but I can just make a shitload, and then it's okay if I lose a few here and there, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna have just like tons more than he does if he doesn't make workers while he's attacking me. Which is how that is how, if you follow like what I just said, if you like live by that rule, you will get Masters League no problem. As long as you'll obviously have to learn other stuff too, but when it comes to economy, that is Masters level mentality right there. Even GM level mentality right there. You just have to accept that some losses will happen as long as you don't force yourself to take more losses by neglecting making more.
I see your point, yeah. I understand, yeah. I understand fully.
Yeah.
'Cause drones you can remake, right?
Yeah.
If you remake them more, as you said, it's better than just wait and larva capping and not doing shit.
Yeah, like I would rather you lose 5 drones and then make 15 than save 5 drones and make none, and suddenly
you're
either
of the day,
you're 10
worse.
more or 10 less at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I can tell you, like, this is not the level of this game on my opponent is not what I usually face.
Sure.
I feel like the level was way lower than usual. I don't know why.
I can tell you why. It's I bet it's probably because this guy went for aggression, and he put too much of his attention into your base and not enough into his own, so it makes him seem like not as good of a player.
Yeah.
I think that is honestly that's exactly why I don't teach people micro builds, because I think that most people, when it comes to micro, they don't multitask very well at lower levels, and their builds just completely drop off and fall apart when they try to micro things. even if they feel like
Yeah,
they're
that's
doing
what
damage.
that's what happens to me all the time when I like, you know, forget about that my macro is worth shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's just making me losing time on my macro. Like, and I realize it many times. I'm like, shit, why you're doing this?
Yeah.
You know.
For sure. It happens. You get carried away. Everyone does. They're like, I just want to micro this because I feel like I can. And then let's say you win a fight and you're like, oh, I did it. It just feels good. But then there's like a misleading situation where it's like you're actually, even though you might have won the game and you might have won that fight, you actually did something really bad when it comes to StarCraft and how to play it properly, which was you just didn't macro anything. So had it not gone well enough to win, you would have been screwed against someone who's maybe a better opponent at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's also like a mental like click that I need to do, and I guess many other players on my league, is that just don't watch. Like sometimes it's very like tempting to watch fights, you know.
Yeah. No, 100%
They're like,
it is.
oh,
Yeah.
they're fighting. That's so nice, you know, having fun, blah blah blah. And then you're like, I'm supply blocked, and like, you know, and then not making shit.
Yeah. Well, another thing too is what eventually you will have to start watching fights anyways, because you will if you don't ever watch fights, you will never actually have a gauge if a fight is actually a good or a bad fight. You won't really understand that concept. So you will eventually get there, but the thing I always try to convince people of is it's really only the right time to start paying attention to your micro when you can actually macro at the same time while microing. Like if you can do the thing where it's like the muscle memory of 4SD, 4SR, 4SR while you're looking at the fight, because most people don't do that. They just, it's either micro or it's macro. It's not both together.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, because I remember you were telling about these things during the Bronze to GM videos. And you know, like, to be honest, for me, like my goal in StarCraft for the moment is actually to reach a level where I can learn a bit of micro and a bit of spellcaster like stuff, you know, without fucking up my build completely.
Yeah.
That's a bit my goal at the moment. In the future,
it's a very realistic goal. It's honestly, it's not that hard if you have like the right mindset to do it, like you follow the right course of action. And here, I'm gonna watch that fight for a second, and let's look at your production while this was happening.
I was hitting storms like crazy, actually.
It's okay, like that. It's, you know, it's not the most ideal thing to be getting hit by storms, but I will say, you're basically maxed. Okay, that is, you're in a realm of this is acceptable. I would say you could have maxed a little bit before this, but maxing by 1030 with Roach Hydra is not the worst, and you're also 2-2. It's respectable. Okay, I'll say that it has a respect level to it. But let's look at your larva right now as you max it around 1030, and your larva is really not there. So you have no ability to remax. Let's look at your queens. Your queens, actually, the energy of your queens is not bad currently. And you have 4 queens injecting 4 hatches. That's pretty good. I feel like other things have happened this game to, like, I don't know how many injects are queued on these hatcheries right now, but
yeah, probably I queued some injects, because I can tell you I do miss inject.
Sure, and that's totally fine. If you do, it's totally fine. But we'll look at your production right now during this fight, and we'll see what happens as it goes on. So again, you have right now you have 10 larvae. You have the ability to use 4 of that larva on roaches or hydras, and the 8 roaches and 8 hydras, those were made before this fight started. But now, as units are dying, like there's you know, like if we're really looking at it, there was no micro going on there, which again, it's okay. This is kind of what I expect to happen before Diamond League. But what I don't want to happen is I don't want there to be missing production during the fight. And you did just now start 10 roaches, which I do like. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really harp on you too much. You did start 10 roaches before the fight is necessarily over. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is the amount of larvae you have. And I think it's because you missed injects and you just you didn't have enough larvae to really bounce back quickly here off of this.
Yes. Yeah, I think I missed a couple of injects and then I queued them for sure.
Yeah.
And then here I think like when I saw them coming, I was like, okay, I will place my units here, a move on the choke, and then I started to see some storms and like, fuck, storms, and then I realized probably, I need to make units, like, you know, like, and then
Yeah, I'll give you props though. You made units 3 times that fight. You made a couple
yeah,
round of roaches. It was honestly, that was not what I expected. I expected you to make no units until he recalled, and then you're like, okay, let's make 22 roaches. That's what I thought was gonna happen. But you actually made units during the fight. I respect that. That's actually, you know, that's good. Keep doing that. Do it better even. Like you can always
Yeah.
tell yourself you can always improve. But that's good that you're already
Actually,
doing it.
I think like what I could improve, and correct me if I'm wrong, is basically as soon as the fight starts, then I will like, okay, you know, unit's gonna get killed. I'm maxed, so I want to keep being maxed.
Yes, I
So
agree with you.
like that's how yeah, probably is what I'm supposed to do.
You should literally just like when the fight starts, if you think to yourself, I'm not really gonna micro this very much or at all, which is okay.
Yeah.
You could literally, as the fight starts, you could just go 5S and then hold down the key of whatever unit you want to remake as they die.
Yes, yes.
And then
yes.
your supply will be like 198, 200, 198, 200, 198, 200, 198, 200 as everything dies repeatedly. And then you just, you know, you can move your camera around your bases and be like, can I inject right now? Yes. Okay. Inject, inject, inject. Make units. Okay. I can creep, creep, creep. Make units. Okay. Look at my bases. Upgrades are good. Make units. Okay. Look at my base. Mineral saturation looks good. Make units. Okay. Inject, inject, inject. Make units. Like you just, every time you do a task, you alternate it with like make units when you're in the middle of fighting people.
Yeah. You do so. You still do like a microcycle basically.
Exactly.
You go injects, make units. And, yeah.
So
if you're max, you don't have to do overlords. So you just do injects units,
Yeah.
or creep or whatever.
Yeah, and then you should literally when you're going in like the building up phase, you obviously are going to be making drones during this phase, so you're not going to be making units every single time a unit dies, because you're going to also be you're going to be making drones as well. But the second you get to that optimal saturation, and you're like, okay, well now it's just units because my drones are good. All I got to do now is maintain good saturation instead of making more drones, I need to just transfer them around as patches mine out here and there.
It's like upkeep. I remember you showed us in the.
Yeah. Perfect. I'm glad you saw that because that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I really like that tier. By the way, I totally recommend for all the other viewers of the channel too.
Yeah, that is what you should be focusing on, and then once you are on that unit building phase, every task you do alternates with making units if battles are happening. So you could be like, I'm gonna scout the map. I'm gonna look for expansions. You find expansions. You literally move your army over there. You don't even have to look at it. You just move your army over there, and you might eat the shit out of some storms. That's okay, but you just upkeep the shit out of your base. And
by the way,
what's up?
Yeah, and by the way, now that you mention it, like, keep in mind, until now, I had no scouting. No scouting at all, dude. Like, I'm just too overwhelmed to even think about scouting now. You know.
The thing about scouting is this is all you got to look for. Seriously, you can make it this easy. Did he expand at his natural? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, you can then proceed as normal with this kind of a build. You can make your drones, 2 bases, make a few roaches, take your third, saturate your third, go into roach hydra, and you're fine. The only thing after that I would say you need to scout is when you know you max out, that you should just attack. When you max, you attack. When you max, you attack. Like, you can think about more like logical ways to like manage your army and do things that are super technical when you start getting to like Diamond League to try and execute strategy and stuff like that. But just for now, it's really just macro tests, because strategy doesn't matter if your macro can't actually execute them properly. So thinking strategy in like platinum, gold, silver, diamond, or not diamond, bronze, anything between bronze and plat, strategy is actually irrelevant because nobody in these leagues actually has proper macro to do it. So it's just macro tests. And now all you got to do is, did he expand? Yeah, like I just said. But then once you get to the point when you're like, okay, I'm at like 160 supply, I'm going to max out pretty fast. I'm going to attack soon. I'm going to send 1 roach on the top side of the map by shift A moving every mineral line. That could be a potential expansion. I'm going to do another roach on the opposite side of the map to shift A move every open mineral line that he may or may not have. And you go all the way to like his natural on both sides. What you're looking for is his outmost expansion, and you just A move that base.
Yeah, I see.
And then you just upkeep
Yeah,
and
because
repeat it.
here, as you can see right now, here I had no idea how many expansions he had.
Exactly. And
No idea.
yeah.
I mean, my drone count is 75, so I knew that my drone count was actually what you suggested in this build.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I don't have to expand yet, right? Okay, I could put down another base maybe for upkeep, but yeah, this is just retrospect, right? I was too busy here to think about it.
Sure. And
Yeah.
and exact like when you like for instance, if you were to describe to me how you're too busy to think about it, what are you too busy doing right now?
Probably like making sure that I still injecting and send the units to the right place. But I'm watching the units probably. That's the problem as well.
Yeah. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would say I think you're watching. I think most people, it's just a habit. Everyone looks at their units a lot because they don't want to waste them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm almost 100% sure I was watching the unit reaching the watchtower,
And
like I was probably thinking, okay, I'll go to the watchtower and see what's around there.
sure.
You know.
And
Yeah.
the thing I want you to convince yourself of, and this applies to everybody seriously that is below diamond, you should never worry about watching your units, because if you are confident that you can macro the way that I've been trying to that I explain, you will always win every fight. You like, and if you don't win that specific fight, you will actually. It's like you might lose the battle, but you'll win the war, because you will wear your opponent down to the point to where you will win every game doing this. Which is why I know I'm a GM player, but I did not play like at a GM level. I literally didn't even look at my army in a lot of these games. I just focused only on macro.
Yeah, I remember.
yeah.
This video. Jesus, when I was watching the visuals, like, what?
Yeah, and
Like, shift a move,
yeah.
shift a move,
and the
shift a move.
win
I was like,
rates the win rates were like 99%.
yeah, Jesus, I was like, what?
Yeah, and it's literally just focusing on the tasks that are important, which is number one, most of all, is generating as much larva as you can and spending it as fast as you can. And then number two is your resource management. It's, making sure your mineral lines are saturated properly, making sure your gases are saturated properly. Number three is your creep. And number four is just, maintaining all of that the whole game.
Yeah, actually, this mineralized saturation is something that I try to do. I'm still very slow though. Like I lose a lot of time doing that.
Sure. Well, like
Even though I use
it's
though I use camera location, still
it's only something you got to worry about. If we're talking about like optimally saturating the right patches, only worry about that within seriously the first 60 seconds of the game. After that, like I'll never tell you to do that on your natural. I'll never tell you to do that on your third base or your fourth base. All you got to do then is, do I have 16 there? Cool. Yep. That's all we needed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry, that's what I mean. Like
Okay.
keeping the nice saturation.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm still very slow with it.
Sure. Well, here's a suggestion. Really quickly, go to your options. Hit like F10. Go to options and go to your mouse and keyboard, and tell me what your mouse scroll speed percentage is at. And if it's at 20, consider increasing that.
It's 37.
Okay, 37. 37 is not the worst. I have 50. Just as long as it doesn't take you like. Basically, my point is if you're like, okay, I want to go from the natural to the main, and you can like snap your fingers and get there quick. That's important. I don't want you to be like, I'm enjoying the scenery. Look at that ramp. Oh, we're going up the ramp. Okay, we're almost at the main. Look at the creep kind of fluttering around. Now we're here. Like if it takes a fucking while, like driving Miss Daisy going to your main, that's not great. You want to probably increase that a bit.
I'm trying to use camera location.
That's also great.
But sometimes I also like, when for example, when they rush me and I have to go from, I know that they rush me on the main, like sometimes I even hit the wrong, because I have F1, F2, F3, F4, and etc. for the hatcheries.
Sure.
And like sometimes I even push the wrong F, and like I'm like, fuck.
No, I get you, man. Things like that. Definitely, you have to find your own method that makes you feel comfortable, and then you'll just have to do it enough to actually get comfortable with it. Because for me, when I changed my hotkeys to the way I have them now, it took me like 2, maybe almost 3 weeks for me to stop getting into these moments where I had to like actually second guess myself and be like, wait, what was it again? Like, oh fuck, I'm messing it up. Because it's really easy to do it correctly when nothing's happening, but you could easily mess it up when things are like in panic mode, where it's like gotta do. and then yeah, you just make a mistake here and
Yeah,
there.
yeah. For me, is exactly this thing. It's like when I in the opening, usually when they don't harass me, I can use camera location without so much problems, and I would say they're very helpful. But when they start to harass me, dude, there is just
Yeah, it just takes time and
like,
experience. I know what you mean though.
yeah.
We all go through it. But also, if you don't get camera hotkeys down and you're like, if for whatever reason they just don't work for you, as long as you can scroll around your base quickly, that also works, because I actually was a pro gamer who didn't use camera hotkeys for the first year that I was a pro. Like I was still able
Really?
to, I was still able to be good enough to do that. Well, and then
Jesus.
the way I looked at, and you want to know why I changed the way I play? It's because I looked at Jaedong and how I watched his stream when he came to StarCraft 2, and I was like, wow, watching his stream is like, it's just like it's like elegant. It like everything just is like, there's no wasted time doing shit. Like it's just everything has a purpose. And for me, it looks like it just looks like a sloppy fucking mess because my screen's going everywhere all the time, and it's just disorganized, and I just somehow make it work. It's like throwing paint everywhere. Like, yeah, fuck it, we're good. And then like eventually I was like, wow, camera hotkeys, that looks like it's so much more efficient. My God.
Yeah.
And then it is. I got used to it, and then I got good at it, and suddenly my efficiency and my gameplay went up a lot. I was like, wow, this is pretty nice, but you could still get good without them. It's not required.
Yeah, I do like it. I think I will stick to that. I do inject with camera key, so I usually go F1, F2, or F3 depending where I'm injecting, and then box the queen and then inject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Just the biggest thing too, recommendation with your camera hotkeys, is make sure every time you bind one, you center your hatchery before you bind it. So, like if you look at my stream for a second, if you have it open, I could probably give you a visual example. You just don't want to have like if you look at your main, and then your natural, it's perfect, and then your third is perfect. Like your hatchery, every time you go to these bases, the hatchery is always in the center. It makes it really easy to adjust to multiple situations where it's like, okay, I remember in the main, there's zealots above my hatchery. In the third, they're coming from the south of my hatchery. You can be like, you can immediately have the mouse pre-motioned as you hit the camera hotkey to go to your main. Mouse is in the top of your screen to grab whatever's there, and you know exactly where it's going to be. If you go to your third, your mouse goes to the bottom where your hatchery. Like you can even base it off your main. You can move your mouse in your main base currently still to the bottom of your hatchery between like directly just below it, and now suddenly your mouse is already set up to go to your third and grab shit that needs to be grabbed there. Whereas if your bases are like this, where it's like your main hatchery is hotkeyed like this, your natural hatchery is hotkeyed like to the left a little bit, and your third base is hotkeyed like way up like that. It makes it so chaotic to grab things correctly because you don't know exactly, when you're bouncing hatcheries like this so fast, you don't know exactly where you're going to end up at every base. It's like, I'm on the top side of the hatchery. Okay, now I'm on the right side of the hatchery. Now I'm on the south side of the hatchery. It just makes everything annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
So the way you do it is every time you build a hatchery, click the portrait here in bottom right. It's right here. On the stream, you can see me pointing at it. It's just to the like the left of the command card.
Yeah,
And then,
I got it. Yeah.
You click it, and it centers the hatchery. Then now you bind the camera hotkey. Go to the natural. Even when it's building, if you just started it, you could click the picture on it and then bind it. You're good. And then everything is organized.
Yeah,
and it flows.
This is something new to me, because usually what I would do is like wait until they are done, and then click on 4, and then it will center it and then rebind it. But I didn't know about the portrait. This is actually very cool.
Yeah, so you can bind your camera hotkeys when
there's
like nothing going on. Like it's not hard to do it then.
Yeah, you see, Jesus, all these fundamentals I had no idea, dude.
Yeah.
Really no idea about these things.
But yeah, like they'll like something like that will help you a lot. And honestly, I would say just taking a step back and kind of recapping here. Biggest thing is your larva usage and your drone saturation. I think you built roaches at the right time. Not the roach warren, but I think you built roaches at the right time. You built it when you were fully saturated. That was nice. I think your larva could have been more efficient to get there faster. But your third as well was delayed a lot. You didn't saturate your third this game until 7 minutes. And your third could be fully saturated a lot sooner than that.
So what would be like a benchmark in timing of the third saturation?
I'm glad you asked, because what we're going to do right now is we're going to go make a custom game. I will make a game for you really fast. I'll invite you to it, and I will give you a benchmark build to compare to with timers.
So now I quit the replay, right?
Yeah. We're the replay over. Join me for this, and I'll give you. You'll be referee. Save this replay when it's over, and I'll just give you.
Just can I ask you something very?
Sure.
Do you think we can have other sessions in the future? Is
100%.
For you?
Yeah, you don't even have to ask that. If you want it, you got it, dude. It's all good.
Great. Because I have all sorts of other stuff to ask you.
Yeah, no worries, dude.
Really a bunch of crap.
It's like I have no restrictions on coaching people. I have recommendations for what I think is probably the best suited things for each person. I'll try to be upfront with you. I'm never trying to scam somebody. But if you want coaching, I'm always available.
Good, great, because I have plenty of other stuff.
Sure. So this game, I'm not going to do anything like where I'm going to be like, okay, so this is how GMs play. Like I didn't split my drones this game. I'm just trying to saturate my mineral lines properly for close patches. And I'm just making my things as I need to make them.
And so basically you can even simply, like the best way if you can't split them in this first 16 seconds, it's just when you have a little bit of time later, you just look at them, and once one drone that you want to transfer give back the mineral, you put it on the right patch.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You can also like if you can't time it properly and you're like, okay, well these drones are not lining up the way I want them to, but you want a drone to be on a certain patch, you can literally just spam right click it until it actually lines up the timing, because it's only going to take like 2 seconds anyways.
Yeah. I see.
But all I'm doing right now is I'm just making drones, and I'm just looking at every patch to be like, I want 2 to be on that. And we've successfully done that now. And now, yeah, I'm just making drones like 4 SD, like once every second. When I would play, I got lots of adrenaline when I would play when I used to be a pro. I would do it like, I would hit mine is 5 SD. I'm not even kidding. I would hit 5 SD probably about 5 times a second. I would spam that's why I would have like 400, 500 APM. I would just spam the fuck out of the keyboard. But that's excessive.
Jesus.
That is excessive. You can do it once a second and it's perfect.
Dude, by the way, so you put down the spawning pool at 18, not 17, right?
Yeah, it's that in itself is a really small detail. If you want to do it 17, it's okay. If you want to do 18, it's okay. The only difference would be if you get proxied or something like that. The earlier pool might help you get things out a little bit faster, like if something like that. But it's really similar because the drone count stays the same.
I usually do at 17, like I rally the 17th, to the point where I want the pool.
Yeah, that's okay. It's you're not larva capping either way, so 17 would still be fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to do 18 as well, you can do 18. For my bronze GM I make next time, I'll probably just, because I know that can confuse some people. They're like, wait, what is it? 17 or 18? I'll probably just like get a definitive one. Like, just do that.
Dude, I think people can have panic attacks at night about this. I can tell you.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Including me.
Yeah. It can definitely be overwhelming and complicated.
Because sometimes, like I mentioned to you, like I'm a PhD student in biochemistry.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like, wow, like what the fuck, like what's the logic behind? I'm like, I want to understand why, and like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't have enough. Like this is just in the moment it's already like it's still too overwhelming for me to just concentrate in every detail. I think I have to prioritize things. For example, the larva capping, as you said, this is probably one of the biggest things I should implement.
Yeah. So like right now, so by the way, I took my roach horn and Eva chamber before I injected, before my inject popped off, because I haven't done this build in a long time, but I actually had enough money I had all my larva spent, and I had enough money to spin that and still not larva cap. Like my larva has been disappearing the second I've started every time. And it's because we haven't let any larva just be idle, so we've maximized all of our money so far up to this point.
Yeah.
And now finally we are at that point where we can start making roaches. And now we can start upgrades. And we can start a third base.
So Basically, once you have roaches, you start the third base because in case you can defend it. Basically.
Yeah. If you start, if you also you don't have enough money to spare the 300 before you start making roaches because it'll disrupt your drones again then.
Ah, right. I see.
Okay, so I'm gonna take you all the way to 200 supply for this. All right.
Yeah.
All right, and then now we're gonna make like an extra like 5 roaches. This is just like a safe number. This is probably like 12 roaches or so. And now immediately I'm gonna start going back into drones again. And we're just pretend that my opponent had expanded. If it's a 1 base all in, I would say when you get a layer and your opponent's still 1 basing you, maybe make an overseer and just be like, are you going like mass air? Are you going ground? If it's ground, you can get away with roaches. If it's air, probably just go hydras faster. Make it that simple. But yeah, if it's like a standard natural expansion, just play it as I'm doing now, which will be most people. And then now we can also start a Hydroden. And we can even start a second Evo. Start your second Evo as well when you start the Hydroden all the time.
Ah, okay. So then I was too early.
Yeah, and that's another expense you had on you're tying up a lot of resources going into carapace upgrades really quick.
And so, when do you start the Hydroden actually? Is there like a...
When do I start the Hydroden?
Yeah.
When I start making a large round of drones for my third. Like once I know I've built like 10 plus drones for my third, even if they're not there yet, then it's okay to grab one of those as they're going to my third to just be like, no, 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 you're gonna be a Hydroden now.
I see. This is a cool benchmark to remember, actually.
And now that my third's fully saturated, we can start a 4th base. We don't have to necessarily saturate it, but we can still start it.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we'll go back into making some roaches. Because we're fully saturated on 3 bases at this point. And we're going to make roaches up to like 120 supply.
Yeah, yeah. The mighty 120.
Yeah, and then we'll make a last round of drones for my 4th once we get there.
So basically, if I'm not mistaken, according to your videos, so the bronze to GM, like you go to 120, then if you can, you drone until 75, and then you max. Then you max out.
Pretty much. You can go, honestly, we're going to go above 75. We'll just make it a solid like 80. Go around like 80,
Okay.
like make the range 80 to 84. Anywhere in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, oh, we're getting big.
Greedy, huh?
Yep.
Greedy boy.
Yeah, that's right. And then now we're making a round of drones because we got the 120 supply. My Hydroden is almost done at getting range. We're going to get speed on it. Let's go ahead and start an infestation pit so we can get ready to go to Hive and go 3-3. We're getting attacked by this massive timing right now. This looks very scary. 2 Marines and a Marauder. And now we're going to drone to 84, 85, but we're going to make a hatchery at the 5th. We're good. So we're 84 drones. And now we're, yeah, we're just going into pure Hydras now. And we can start a couple of Overseers as well, just in case. And spread our creep a little bit here and there.
Usually the timings I had, they're not one Marauder and 2 Marines.
Yeah, right. Holy crap, it's huge!
It's usually like 10 Immortals, 20 Stalkers, and then I have 8 Roaches, and I'm like, yeah, get them, boys!
Yeah, right. Alright, and now look at the time of the clock. And remember, you maxed out at 10:30.
So you're basically almost maxed out and you're 8:15, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Jesus. It's 2 minutes.
And now imagine how much supply lead. You were actually still like a 10 supply lead over your opponent that game when you maxed out. Or like it was like a little bit of, maybe like a 20 supply lead. Imagine how much of a supply you would have now. If you
probably
went back to that
twice
game.
as much. Probably twice as much.
Yeah, you'd probably have like a 50, 80, somewhere in there supply lead.
Yeah, almost twice as much, yeah.
And then when you do this, like I'm literally A-moving his base. I shift A-moved his base, and I'm not even going to look at my army. I'm instead going to look at my main. It's not saturated properly. Grab some drones, send it to my new base.
Upkeep.
Exactly. And
upkeep, boys.
Get my fucking carapace on my my level 2 carapace going. My hive is almost done. Let's go ahead and start level 3 weapons on my other Evo chamber. Let's go ahead and start, keep injecting. And every time a unit were to die, if it would have died, this is when I would alternate every task now. Make Hydra, make Roach, make Hydra, make Roach, whatever you want to make at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you can spread your creep too. You could even, at this point now, take another base, because if you're starting to mine out of your main, it means your natural is going to start mining out shortly after, so you're going to need another base again to eventually send drones to. And also, taking another base is not the worst idea either, because it gives you more larva. And yeah, that's basically it. And then from here, this is when you could also be like, I saw you doing it, which I liked a lot, but you could also be like, if I want to, I could also even make a spire to make broodlords with or something.
Yeah, this is something that I've been trying to do also according to your videos. It's like, you know, I'm maxed, I might as well invest in technology.
Sure, yeah, seriously. That's very good. It gives you backup plans.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, save that replay. That's a good benchmark to work off of. And you can just see, you know, your drone counts and your supplies and your own games versus what that was.
So to save the replay, I need to go to score screen, right?
Yeah, when you leave it, if you've already left all of it, you can still save it if you go to just the replays. So
no, I mean, it's asking me whether I should go to score screen, rewind, or return to game.
Oh, so yeah, okay, yeah, go to score screen. And then when you're at score screen, you should see on the bottom right, there's a button for rename replay.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
And then there you go. Just make it whatever you want.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. And do you have any other questions about anything before we call it a day for now?
I have plenty, but let's meet a second time and then.
Okay. Well,
you know, I have a bunch of stuff, like for example, control groups and other fundamentals.
Sure.
Basically.
Okay. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to later tonight when I'm done, because I'm gonna stream for probably the next like 8 hours or something, or 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But later tonight when I'm done, I will send you another message on Discord, and it'll be this exact coaching lesson we just did in a VOD form, because I'm gonna upload it to YouTube. So I'll make it really easy for you to go back and rewatch it again if you want to rewatch it more.
Nice, nice.
So expect that message later tonight, and yeah, man, and that's it. Thank you for buying one.
Hey, bye. Thank you for everything. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, dude, it was good meeting you too, and I hope you have a good rest of your day and good luck, man.
See you later, man. Ciao.
See you. And that wraps up a coaching lesson, guys. If you liked it, go check out any other of my videos. I have a lot of these things. This was definitely a bit more of a basic one. I have coaching lessons ranging from all different kinds of skill levels, like GM level shit, all the way down to fundamentals of gameplay. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Peace.